Today, we're honored to have Dr. Carolyn Sebron visit us today. She and Dupre are colleagues at the Medgar Evers College. Thank you so much, Dupre, for introducing us. Carolyn Sebron holds a degree from the University of Cincinnati, College Conservatory of Music, the Juilliard School, and a DMA from Shanghai, is that right? Shenandoah, excuse me. Conservatory. You're going to help me out with some other words, right? Okay. Dr. Sebron has presented at the Boston University Conference, African American Music and the World Culture, Art as Refuge and Strength in the Struggle for Freedom. She presented her doctorate research at the Voice Foundation's 52nd Symposium, Spring 2023. She was voice competition adjudicator, conducted a masterclass with competition winners, and presented a talk on the legacy of Opera Ebony at the National Association of Negro Musicians 2024 convention in Los Angeles. This past summer, 2025, you were busy, I love this. And this past summer, 2025, she participated in the Lincoln Center Forum, Lincoln Center in New York, a training forum for teaching artists in the creative disciplines, music, dance, art, theater, who gathered from all parts of the U.S. and abroad. Before transitioning from academia, Dr. Sebron worked with companies nationally and internationally, appearing in title roles at L'Arena di Verona. Say it one more time. L'Arena di Verona. And Rome. Oh, go ahead. Okay, Venice, Seoul, and Glasgow. What is this? Oh God. Okay, so I'm just going to keep moving. This is just such a well-rounded, wonderful person. She was featured as Frankie in Carmen Jones, presented at the historic Old Vic in London's West End. She has also appeared in local New York groups, including Dance Theatre of Harlem, Bronx Opera, Opera Ebony, and the Harlem Opera Theater. Dr. Sebron is currently an adjunct assistant professor at Medgar Evers College. She has served as faculty at the Borough of Manhattan Community College and Southern University, A&M College. Her current activities include working to preserve the archives of Opera Ebony. She maintains a private voice studio in New York City and continues to research on voice-related topics. I'd like to honor you and present to you Dr. Carolyn Sebron. Huh? We missed the song? No, we're good. Thank you, darling.
Sometimes when people read my biography, I say, who is that? Good afternoon, everyone. All right. Well, I'm a little nervous because, as I was telling Barry and Dupre back there, when I was little, I was always being told to be quiet and not talk. So now that I'm older, I may run long. So if I'm running long, just hold up a finger like that, all right? And in the, I can say I'm Baptist. Is that all right? Okay. In the Baptist tradition where they say, I'm not going to stay long. I'll try to get through this. And I wrote everything out, so in case I get nervous and stumble over my words. If I can have the first slide, please. I've always loved looking at the night sky and the stars, the full moon on a cold winter night when everything is so quiet and mysterious, even more so when the roads were covered with ice and glistening snow. And then the ice crystals sparkling like jewels in the still night. Now, you know I didn't grow up in New York by saying that, right? I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. We don't really know. There, okay, you have to click the link. It's the second slide, and then click the link. There you go. Click that link. That should take us there. And scroll up a little bit more. There we go. All right. All right. We didn't really know the many constellations, my brothers and sisters, but our parents would always point out the Big Dipper. That's the one on the lower side, yeah? As you can see in the image, there is a line connecting the Big Dipper to the handle of the Little Dipper. Can you see that? All right. And just on the tip of the handle is the North Star. Okay. The names in astronomy are Ursa Major, which is Big Bear. Ursa means bear. And Ursa Minor, Little Bear. We say Big Dipper and Little Dipper in American culture. And Polaris, or Polaris, is the North Star. The Big Dipper carries a visceral place in storytelling, song, and mythology for people of African descent. Stars evoke expanse, hope, distance, otherworldliness, and guidance. It was towards Polaris, the North Star, the people used to steer the direction of their journey. Their hopes and dreams of a different life guided, directed by the North Star, that heavenly body pointing them towards a promise of freedom, safety, and hope. Throughout our sojourn, the African American sojourn in this land, song has been a powerful element in the struggle for uplift, protest, economic, and social justice. A song can touch your feelings, give joy, or move one to tears with its emotive quality. And I wrote some notes here. Now I have to figure out what I wrote. It can surprise and delight by the riffs, the high notes, and the low notes. With roots set in African spiritual tradition, they created new songs the people hear. These songs, called sorrow songs or spirituals, contain messages often hidden in plain sight. Simple, primitive, entertaining ditties to those that didn't know. These songs carried irony, metaphor, and to those who knew and understood, carried messages. Taught, inspired, and fortified the people for the fights they would endure in this life as they envisioned a better life for their children and their children's children. Songs like Follow the Drinking Gourd, or Wade in the Water, Steal Away, or Go Down Moses. These songs sourced biblical writing, but incorporated additional messages known only to those for whom they were intended. Now, my second slide, I have to diverge a little bit. Just a quick aside. I was at a powwow, and when I took this photograph, the second slide, please, yeah. And I was standing there with a young lady, and we got to talking. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of times we base identity on color, right? And she was my tone of color, and she said, are you Native American? I said, well, I've heard stories, but I don't know. She said, well, you should go get checked, because she was. I got my DNA done. One of those little cheap 23andMe, they're out of business now. But my oldest female ancestor was Native American. And, with African Americans, we have this alliance, and there's a historic alliance between indigenous people in the Americas and people of African descent. The Cherokee, the Muskegee, the Seminoles, indigenous groups in the South, like in Louisiana, they have a history of interaction and mutual protection, right? You may be familiar with the Mashantucket Pequots in Connecticut. Anybody been up there? They have a picture of all the people, and I saw one picture, I said, that looked like my daddy, They said for them, if you can trace any ancestor, you're welcome to come back, and it's not based on what's called blood quantum. So they own Foxwood Resort and have one of the largest private state-of-the-art museums devoted to their culture. Did you know that over half of the U.S. states have names derived from indigenous languages and groups? Here are just a couple: Connecticut, Alabama, Ohio, my home state, Massachusetts. How many of you are familiar with the doctrine of discovery, the Treaty of Tordesillas, or manifest destiny, a term that we've been hearing a lot recently, has been resurrected, and we hear it in political circles, right? The doctrine of discovery has had a critical impact on indigenous people, not only in the Western Hemisphere, but in many other parts of the world. As recently as 2006, former Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg quoted the doctrine of discovery in her 2005 decision. It was the Oneida Nation trying to get land rights back from New York. Almost 600 years later, it's still with us. Unfortunately, there have been attempts on the political and social level to reverse and diminish the presence of indigenous people, breaking treaties, the Trail of Tears, underfunded education, exploitation of land and resources, and as with many other things happening in this country, there is a similarly coordinated effort to erode their history and birthright through erasure and loss of land. Part of that erasure was the institution of Indian boarding schools. The last school in the U.S. was closed in 1996. For the indigenous people of this land, just like our spirituals, there are songs that also teach and tell stories. Some songs are narrative. They tell of history and resistance. Our indigenous brothers and sisters say, "We are still here." This next song is by Peter Lafarge. Lafarge was not indigenous. However, his father, Oliver, was an author and an anthropologist studying indigenous cultures, in particular the Olmec and the Navajo culture. So he was exposed to indigenous culture and history. He actually lived in New York City. He died at about 34 years old. So we're going to do a song now called Drums. This is the Martha Redbone version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm so excited to be singing with my colleague Dupre and Barry. From the Indian reservation to the north school, where educate me to the wide and I'm learning
Well, they think that they change me from my head to meet their needs. Well, they think I'm white or Indian, quarter blood, or just half-breed. Let me tell you, Mr. Teacher, when you say you'll make me right in 500 years of fighting, not one Indian has turned white. There are drums beyond the mountain in the entrance that you can hear. There are drums beyond the mountain, and they're getting mighty Geronimo. Their horse rode beyond the mountain. Indian road, oh, you can, yeah. Their horse rode beyond the mountain, and they're getting mighty there.
Well, you may teach me this man's history, but we call it true love. We broke your hearts and bent your journeys. Broken Jesus hurt. Even now, though you visitate us, in our losing we found progress. In your winning we found proudness. In your winning you found strength.
Say it there.
And heavens
They all drove,
on the mountain,
they all drove,
and in God you can hear.
they all drove,
They are drunk
they all drove,
beyond the mountain,
they all drove.
and they're getting very near. And they're getting very near.
Dr. Sebron, Barry Kornhauser, thank you.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Woo-wee. Merciful, merciful. I'm telling you. We got another song for y'all to learn. So just give me a sign, because I don't want to run over time. All right, so the next slide, please. It's a button from 1936, I believe. We're just speaking about voting rights, and I don't know. Let me be quiet. All right, so this section is called The Soul of the Movement, Civil Rights and Social Change. I'm going to kind of go through this. The Civil War ended in 1865, but the fight after Reconstruction for civil and economic rights continued. After Reconstruction, there was Jim Crow, the Great Migration, and the early 1900s. 1910, 1919, the continuation of the labor, suffragette, and civil rights movements. We see the development and dissemination of jazz, all right? The development of gospel music, genres that later were integral to the freedom movements, in formal and informal ways. Duke Ellington wrote a suite called the Freedom Suite, okay? The people carried the culture with them during the Great Migration, and artists, whether amateur or professional, were a part of it. Songs were reflective of the major faith practices. Spirituals and gospel songs, by their simplicity and repetition, lent themselves to group singing and for songs during marches and demonstrations. Sometimes language of resistance was formed in noble poetry. So lyrics like this: stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed? We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. This is the second verse of the hymn, Lift Every Voice and Sing, by James Weldon Johnson, music by J. Rosamond Johnson. The poem is evocative of the emergence from oppression and suffering, and there is a reference to a star. In other times, words took on more direct and less poetic phrase. As we move into the 1960s and the 1970s, songs took on a more secular tone that spoke of resistance. Songs like Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around or We Shall Overcome. Accessible songs that lent themselves to group singing. Popular musicians added to the mix. Nina Simone's song about Mississippi. I'm not gonna say the less part of the word. James Brown, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. Marvin Gaye's album and the title song, What's Going On. Some careers were suppressed by their social activism or just by virtue of how they made their art. You may, for those close to my age, remember Jose Feliciano. He was blackballed in 1968 for singing the Star-Spangled Banner at the World Series because he added a Latin style to his way of singing the anthem. Censored because of culture. Freda Payne, Bring the Boys Home, was in protest of the Vietnam War, and her career was stopped. You had the forerunner of hip-hop with Gil Scott-Heron with The Last Poets, and his The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, spoken over jazz music. More contemporary songs about resistance, NWA, I won't say, can't say that. Anyway, or Public Enemy's Fight the Power, or even social commentary closer to us now today with Kendrick Lamar's They Not Like Us, okay? Which became an international phenomenon and which I think ended the beef with Drake. So I have a song for you all, and I just found it last night. Fortuitously, I found it last night because it's on the program. So all you have to do is sing, hey, these are the words, hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. This is a new protest marching song, right? Y'all want to help me? We're going to improvise. All right, that's part of the black culture. Okay, so the tune, hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Anybody ever heard this? You've heard it. Okay, so you got to help. You got to sing loud. Okay. Hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. So when I point to you, you're going to sing that twice, okay? Sirens in the night, people asking why. We stand here together, we won't pass it by. Hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Say it loud, say it proud. Hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Hands held up high, tears in our eyes. We are still standing, we choose to rise. And hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. No more fear, no backing down. And hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Hey now, we won't be silent while our friends are gunned down. Thank you. Thank you. Now this last part, sometimes I'm remiss about telling stories because this happened a while ago, but you remember the pain sometimes. But this is to talk about the force of music in terms of when you're personally challenged. So I was in Naples, Italy, and I was to do Yocasta in Oedipus Rex by Igor Stravinsky. The director was some French guy, I blanked out his name. And the narrator was supposed to be Gérard Depardieu, the actor, right? So it was kind of high level. Anyway, I had, over Christmas, they all left, I had to be there by myself. 21 days of rehearsal without a break, and I finally got a day off, so I was out with one of my colleagues. We wanted to go to one of the islands. It was cloudy. Naples is very polluted, so it was, smoke and fumes and all this, whatever. And also I have acid reflux. I had a little burn on. And when I got back to the apartment, there was a call. You have rehearsal tonight, staging an orchestra. And I decided I wasn't going to sing that rehearsal. I'm not being a diva. It's just, So the next day, the conductor came to my dressing room. Usually if they're going to do something, they call you to the office. And explained that they weren't happy with my work. They were bringing someone in. She would arrive that afternoon, so obviously they had planned it because she was coming from the west coast of the USA. He said if they liked her, she would do the opening and I would do the second performance. And I couldn't contest it because in your contracts, in European contracts, there's something called force majeure. The orchestra director, the house, the stage director, they can just say, I don't want you, without any reason, okay? I was like, okay, whatever. Their house, their rules. It was a moment of great stress, and when he left, something rose in my spirit, and I started to sing to myself. I later found out that the stage director had said that I was too fat. Oh, you had to put up the next slide, I'm sorry. You can see my bones sticking out, right? He said I was too fat, too black, couldn't sing and couldn't act. That was a direct quote. But in that moment, my spirit had to comfort me. And it was a lot of money I left on the table, a lot. I had plans. But I decided I would not bow and I would not break. And I said to them, if I'm not good enough to do the first performance, let her do them all. But in that moment when the conductor left, and I'm just gonna sing a snippet of it, I was sitting there in my dressing room, so I guess the sound was going down the corridor. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more weeping, no more weeping, No more weeping over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. So in this brief exploration, I've touched on song as survival, song as commentary, song as protest, and as solace. The power of protest, the North Star, music as a navigational tool during the darkest times of slavery, segregation, and oppression. Music is not merely entertainment. It provides personal solace, forges collective solidarity, and acts as a vehicle for social transformation. Protest music transcends time and culture. There are new songs to sing for today, and I look forward to hearing them and perhaps singing them as well. I thank you for your time this afternoon.